Live from our living rooms, it's the second annual Vladi Dadis, brought to you by High Spots and Cheap Pops. Now here are your hosts, Silicon Steve Valley and Vladi Dadi. We move on to our fifth category of the year. Vladi Dadi, what is the very next category? Are we going to keep it awful?
We're going to totally keep it awful.
Oh!
One last time. Yes, one last time. We are going with the most awful men's wrestler nominee.
All right, so the nominees for the most awful men's wrestler of the year 2022. Last year's winner, Baron Corbin, with his second or third gimmick this year. He's back. Top Dollar from Hit Row, second time nominated. Top Dollar's getting his man. That's tough when you're getting nominated for worst overall wrestler and part of the worst tag team. And of course, this is the surprising one. The current All-Atlantic AEW All-Atlantic champion, Orange Cassidy, as most awful wrestler of the year. Vladi Dadi, the winner is...
The winner of the most awful men's award, a.k.a. the Vladi Dadi for the men's most awful wrestler, is the non-talented Top Dollar.
Oh, two-time winner, Top Dollar tonight. He's gonna. This is the equivalent of Bret Hart making the Hall of Fame 2 times. That's how amazing this is. No, this is the first time we've had a guy win double the awards in the same night. Top Dollar, congratulations! Wow.
And again, it pains me to bring this Triple H mistake back up again. However, we cannot necessarily go on with these shows if we don't go and acknowledge the whole flop over the top rope and just the idea that he thought he would be able to make that and do that on Fox's channel, right? He is, to me, just one of the more unprofessional parts of that show. I think he brings zero to the table. I'm sorry, he's just that awful. And I don't even want to be just too mean about this, but there is just something just not necessarily clicking there in terms of talent and TV time. It is just one of the worst scenes on TV for me is Top Dollar.
All right. Well, I'm with you. Man.
Are you?
And they absolutely killed him on SmackDown this week. They held a whole segment of every wrestler in the locker room making fun of him.
And then, of course, he goes after Ricochet, who is over like wonderfully right now for the last few matches he's had. They like sort of rejuvenated him a bit. And man, they know that Top Dollar is going to be booed. So like, yeah, keep that going. We'll feed you with Ricochet.
I think Triple H just loves the gimmick. He thinks it's a really good gimmick, and that's why I want to keep him around. But moving right along, and I a new category this year, Vladi Dadi, and one of the more unique categories I have ever heard in my entire life. Vladi Dadi, brand new category for the 2022 Vladi Dadis. Please go ahead. What is the next category here on High Spots and Cheap Pops presents the second annual Vladi Dadis?
The next category in this Vladi Dadi moment is none other than most toxic work environment. Most toxic work environment.
The most toxic work environment nominees are WWE featuring Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis passing women around like a joint. And of course, AEW as the other nominee with Sammy Guevara, Andrade, Brawl Out, MJF, and rumors that the Bucks are burying FTR. even though everyone in the locker room gets along. In the men's locker room, everyone in the men's locker room get along. Vladi Dadi, who is the winner for the most toxic working environment in the world of professional wrestling? By the way, WWE has won the last 45 years.
I'm sure I wouldn't. I don't appreciate you showing my age in that manner when you say the last 45 years. But
my age, but yeah,
yeah, true. So, as you know, we spared no expense for this award show tonight, and we got the greatest accountants on the planet to go and tabulate these results, especially with this category. And for the first time in the history of the Vladi Dadis, we have a tie.
Yes! Triple H did not have enough of a comeback story. Probably because of Top Dollar.
The Top Dollar movie, maybe he's putting the needle towards WWE.
Well, I screwed that one up, I guess.
Pissed off Vladi Dadi.
Yeah, hey, you win some, you lose some. Bray Wyatt hasn't done shit either.
It's true. It's so true.
All right. I honestly thought you were going to go AEW all the way here. They've kind of right the ship, at least there. But there's still that cloud hanging over its head. I'm surprised WWE won, particularly with the last half of the year being a little more not so icky.
Well, they didn't win. They tied. And it just shows you how bad of a year WWE had because of Vince McMahon's behavior. And you go and take the king of all of wrestling, really, and it basically evolves, and it shows you at this point, as he, who knows for how many of the last years, has been sort of like being like womanizing people, or basically womanizing these women that have been hired, basically, and created a really just crappy place to work, especially when you consider like Laurinaitis' connection. And it's just real weird and awkward. Like anything that you read from like the Wall Street Journal and just that information getting out there. And then you compound it with the fact that he's using company dollars, not really even quote unquote his personal account, and basically making these NDAs part of usual business. It's just very degrading. And unfortunately, Vince kind of goes out that way. He goes out on his own terms. He retires. Quote unquote, didn't do anything illegal, but he wasn't the most scrupulous guy. And then, of course, John Laurinaitis just sort of a greasy stain on the ass of humanity.
I have a question, and this is a real legitimate question. Is there any way, because they're having thoughts of bringing Vince back for some kind of tribute at WrestleMania, is there any way they turn this into a storyline, like he tries to work himself back in with the McMahon family and they make this part of WrestleMania? Is there any way that's a possibility? Because why wouldn't you? If you're Vince McMahon and you're Mr. McMahon, you can't go out like this. In that respect, is there any way they turn this into a storyline?
I don't think so. Because I don't think there's any way that you want Vince backstage in a locker room, in a writer's room, being a part of the creative process openly for any moment there.
A majority, yeah, but he's still the top dog in majority sales owner of ownership, though. It's a tricky situation. I'm just saying, they got to do something. They can't just. He's not just going to ride in the sunset. They're going to do something. The guy was too important. I'm just saying it would be
like I don't think, considering especially like there's still like newer cases coming out with the female referee.
Yeah,
and then there was another there's like another woman that came sort of out of the woodwork that we're not even sure of who she is, but it's a newer case again. And,
I wonder if it's Mercedes Moné.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, and again, the female part of the roster has definitely probably witnessed some of this behavior,
and they've alluded to it.
Yeah, they actually did, and so that to me, it's hard to not give a mark of toxicity to that point, like to that company there, and honestly, with AEW, everything internally, it just not to go and beat a dead horse, but it's a situation where Tony Khan needs to start exerting some like leadership there, and cut into much of the squabbling that has gone on, where it just looks like very high schoolish in ways. And you made mention of like all the spots really, and if you can air that out and get a little bit of a better product on there, AEW is going to be around for a very long time, but he has to get past that point.
Well, the ship is calmed and the seas have calmed. They're just not moving the needle with any of their ratings right now. Like a lot of people are lukewarm on the Jericho stuff, and he's still a big part of it. A lot of people, I know there's a lot of people that are just not sure what's going on with this Moxley Hangman. I'm excited about Moxley and Hangman. They're two of my favorite baby faces going at it. And I think they can do some cool stuff. But a lot of people, I think, remember when we used to have this conversation about when, there's a really talented guy down at NXT, he's going to come to the main roster. You don't get excited about it with AEW anymore because they've repeatedly failed to do as much with the talent as we thought they would. They have repeatedly failed at it. So it's hard to get excited just because they have a talented roster. WWE's had the most talented roster maybe ever the last 10 years, and they have only recently been fulfilling some real good potential here. So AEW's got to start fulfilling the potential of all their stars. They haven't done that in a very long time.
Thank you for watching part 3 of the Vladi Dadis. Check out part 4 and please hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching High Spots and Cheap Pops.
I'm feeling spicy.